Hey there. Today, we're going on a journey into the history of the English language. And let me tell you, it is not a neat and tidy story. It's a wild, fascinating, and kind of bizarre tale of invasions, class struggles, and just pure historical accident. It's a beautiful mess, and we are going to unravel it together.
All right, let's just get right to it with the one question that drives everyone crazy. Why is English spelling so weird? I mean, through, though, and tough, they look kind of similar but sound totally different. It makes no sense, right? Well, it's not that the language is broken. It's actually because its entire history is written right into its code. Think of this question as the central mystery we're about to solve.
So, to crack this case, we've got to go way back, like back to the very beginning, to find the language's original DNA. Our story kicks off more than 1,500 years ago on a little island that had just been left behind by a global superpower. Okay, this timeline really sets the scene. First up, in 410 CE, the Romans just leave. They pack up and head out of Britain, leaving this huge power vacuum. And guess who shows up? Germanic tribes. You've got the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes. They roll in with their languages, and bam, that's the foundation of what we now call Old English. But wait, there's more. A few hundred years later, the Vikings show up, and they're about to add a whole new layer to this. So you might be thinking, Old English, I could probably figure it out. Think again. Look at this. This is the opening line from the famous epic poem Beowulf from around 900 AD. What we Gardenai in Gerd Dagum. Yeah, exactly. It's completely unrecognizable to us now. In fact, it's way closer to German or Dutch than the English we speak today. No way you'd understand a word. And that's because, at its heart, Old English was a straight-up Germanic language. We're talking complex grammar, different cases for nouns, and yep, even gendered words, just like you see in modern German. You know, our most basic words like be, strong, and water, they all come from this ancient core. But this relatively pure language was about to get seriously shaken up. And then in come the Vikings, and this is where it gets really interesting. Their language, Old Norse, was also Germanic, so the two groups could kinda sorta understand each other. And to make things easier, they just started simplifying the grammar. A lot of the complicated stuff just got dropped. Plus, they gave us about 2,000 words. We're talking absolute essentials like sky, leg, take, and law. And get this, the pronouns they, them, and their, totally a gift from the Vikings. Crazy, right? Okay, so at this point, English is a cocktail of Germanic dialects with a splash of Viking simplification. But what happened next? Well, it was the single biggest plot twist in the language's history. It changed everything. The year is 1066. Remember that date. It's the Norman Conquest. William the Conqueror sails over from France, and just like that, England has a brand new French-speaking ruling class. For the next 300 years, French is the language of power, of the government, the courts, high society. And English? It gets pushed down, becoming the language of the common folk. And this created this incredible split right down the middle of the language. You can see it so clearly here. The Anglo-Saxon farmer out in the field is raising the cow, the pig, the sheep. Those are all old Germanic words. But the noble sitting down for dinner, he's eating beef, pork, and mutton. All French words. It's wild. The language of the farm stayed Germanic, while the language on the menu became French. And we still see that split today. And the results of this French takeover? Just look at this chart. It's a massive vocabulary flip. Suddenly, English, which was this solid Germanic language, has a vocabulary where almost 60% of its words come from French and Latin. It's not one or the other anymore. It's a true hybrid, a fusion of two totally different language families. And we're not talking about a few words here and there. We're talking about something like 10,000 French words pouring into the language. And these were the words of prestige, you know? Words for government, law, fashion, food. Think justice, parliament, dinner. This is a huge reason why English often has two words for the same thing, a simple Germanic one and a fancier French-derived one. All right, so that explains our huge, jumbled-up vocabulary, but it still doesn't answer our big question from the beginning. Why is the spelling so nuts? For that, we need to jump forward to a time when pronunciation went completely off the rails, while spelling just stopped. This new, messy, hybrid English was basically a creative goldmine. And who was the master of it? William Shakespeare, of course. Now, he didn't invent all these words, but he was an incredible promoter. He's credited with popularizing over 1,700 words and phrases, things we say all the time like lonely, fashionable, and even manager. He showed the world just how flexible and powerful this new English could be. And here it is, the smoking gun, the main reason for our spelling headaches, the Great Vowel Shift. Basically, between the 1400s and 1700s, for reasons we're still not totally sure about, English speakers just started changing how they said their long vowels. It was this massive chain reaction. A word that used to sound like meat started to sound like mate. Something that sounded like boat started to sound like boot. Everything was changing. Okay, so here's the aha moment. This is exactly how it happened. Take the word B-I-T-E. Before all this, it was pronounced more like beta. But then, during the shift, the sound changed to what we say now, bite. So what's the problem? Well, right in the middle of all this sound-changing chaos, the printing press shows up in England. Printers need to standardize spelling, right? So they basically froze the spelling based on how words sounded before the shift was finished. The sounds kept evolving, but the spelling was locked in time. That's it. That's why our spelling so often reflects a pronunciation from 500 years ago. So, let's recap. We've got a Germanic language, simplified by Vikings, flooded with French words, and with a spelling system stuck in the 15th century. What a mix! The final piece of the puzzle is how this weird little island language took over the world. So as English started spreading across the globe, people felt like it needed to be, well, tamed. It was too chaotic. So in 1755, Samuel Johnson comes along and publishes this massive work, A Dictionary of the English Language. It was this heroic effort to wrangle the beast, to nail down spellings, define words, and just bring some sense of order to it all. This really helped shape the modern English we know today. And as the British Empire grew, English basically became a global kleptomaniac, a total word thief. It just grabbed words shamelessly from every single language it met. From Hindi, we get shampoo and pajamas. From Arabic, we stole algebra and alcohol. And from Chinese, words like tea and typhoon. The language just kept absorbing everything, getting richer and way more complex with every new word. So let's go back to our big question. Why is English spelling so weird? This quote just nails it. English is not a designed language, but one forged through conquest, mixing, compromise, and misunderstanding. It was never planned. It was hammered into shape by history. All those inconsistencies you see, they aren't mistakes. They're fossils. They're clues that tell a story of invasions, class struggles, and pure chance. That beautiful mess? That's its superpower. So the next time you get tripped up by some weird spelling, just remember, you're not just speaking a language, you're speaking centuries of history. So what part of this crazy story surprises you the most?